Well, it's a few days after the Phoenix Comicon, and I think I'm finally recovered. I spent all 4 days this year. It was May 25th through the 28th at the Phoenix Convention Center. And my God, was it busy. There was a ton of people there. I think that's the biggest convention I've been to so far. I went to the Phoenix Comic-Con more than a few years ago. It was called Phoenix Comic-Con, but it was actually at the Mesa Convention Center. So going to it for the first time in a long time and it being at the Phoenix Convention Center, I was a little bit shell-shocked, but it was really cool. I spent the first 2 days, Thursday and Friday, quite a bit of the days, helping out at the Game On Expo gaming rooms. They actually had a retro gaming room and a modern gaming room, which was really cool. So I volunteered to help out over there, and you'll see a bunch of footage of that later on in the video. And then the next 2 days after that, I just spent, going around, looking at things, looking at all the cosplayers, checking out the vendor hall, checking out the exhibit halls. There was a little car show section, a really big Lego exhibit by a local builders club, just tons of cool stuff to see. So it was really, really fun. Now, I'm sure if you followed the news at all on Comic-Con, you did hear what happened the first day there. There was some tool bag that brought some actual real guns, and I guess was trying to go after the green Power Ranger that was there, which was really silly. The guy claimed he had stabbed him 15 years ago and was going to finish the job, but as far as I could tell, that never happened. So thankfully, police were on that guy pretty quick once somebody reported it on social media, so good for that person. And he was taken care of. And after that, everything was pretty secure. There was definitely a stepped-up security presence. Unfortunately, all prop weapons were banned after that, so I mean all prop weapons. There were like no fake lightsabers, no foam swords, no nothing. So unfortunately, there was a lot of really sad lightsaberless Jedi wandering around. But outside of that little bit of craziness at the beginning, it was a cool convention. So sit back and take a look at some of the footage I filmed, and I hope you enjoy. And thanks again for watching.
First, let's take a look at the gaming rooms provided by the Game On Expo. And this is the modern gaming room. And I volunteered in these gaming rooms on Thursday and Friday of the convention. That was actually tons of fun volunteering. Now, this room was full of PlayStation 4 gaming stations, which you can see there on the right. And then in the middle of the room, there was a bunch of Xbox One gaming stations provided by the Microsoft Store in Scottsdale. And you'll see that big screen off in the distance. There was a Nintendo Switch with Mario Kart 8 Deluxe going on there, and just tons of other awesome modern gaming stuff going on here. Let's take a look at everything. Now here's all the Xbox One gaming stations provided by the Microsoft Store, and these were pretty cool. They were Xbox Ones that were in these suitcases that had built-in screens at the top, and people were having tons of fun with these, and there was a lot of different games for these. They had the new Forza game, there was Mortal Kombat going on, all kinds of cool stuff. Now right here on this screen and projector was a Nintendo Switch with Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, and this was pretty popular over the course of the convention. And here's even more modern gaming stations with Wii U's and PlayStation 4s, and lots of people practicing for the different gaming tournaments that were going on over the course of the weekend. There was a Smash Brothers tournament, I think there was an Injustice tournament, and a few other fighting games. Dave & Buster's brought these two Aliens cabinets, which was pretty awesome as well, and they were having a high score competition on these. Now let's check out the retro gaming room, which this was my favorite of the two rooms, and you'll see why here in a minute. Over here we had some CRTs with Wii's hooked up, and people were playing the GameCube version of Smash Brothers, practicing for a tournament that was going to happen for that later on in the weekend. And as we pan over, you can see just tons of retro gaming goodness going on here, and lots of CRT televisions. In the center of the room was this booth for the Retro City Convention, which is another convention that happens in California. And they had this glass case with a bunch of Star Fox memorabilia in it, including a Star Fox Super Weekend competition cartridge, which they used in a competition they held later on during the convention. Just lots of really cool Star Fox memorabilia here. And of course you gotta have a Rob. And then they had their own retro gaming station set up, and they had all these really cool old CRT TVs that just looked fantastic. These two had Ataris hooked to them, and I asked, why do these look so good? And it turns out they had actually had all of these CRT televisions recapped, and that's why they have such great pictures on them. The footage here isn't doing them justice, but tons of people were having fun playing Atari 2600 on them. Now this was really cool over here. They had 8 original Xboxes networked together with Halo 2 multiplayer going on little CRT televisions. This was another very popular thing in the retro gaming room and was tons of fun to play. And here's some more really cool CRT TVs, including this little one with a Sega CDX hooked up to it, and then this really interesting one that had a built-in VCR with a Nintendo NES hooked to it, and then they had another little one with a Super Famicom hooked to it. And all of these had been recapped as well, so the pictures looked just amazing on them. Now this little spot over in the corner were actually gaming stations provided by myself. These 4 TVs belong to me, and I had a Nintendo Famiclone with Super Mario Bros. Hooked up to the first one. The second one was a Super Nintendo running Mortal Kombat 2. And then I had an NES running Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 2, the arcade game. And then the TV on the far right actually had an Intellivision hooked to it with Armor Battle. Now, Mortal Kombat 2 on the Super Nintendo seems to be the most popular, but I was really happy to see that my gaming station seemed to be really popular as well, and people were having tons of fun playing them. So, if you happen to play these systems over here while you were at the Phoenix Comicon, these were mine. Now, over here we had a really cool, like, little Donkey Kong mini arcade that had one of those 60-in-1 arcade cards in it. And then they had a bunch of RetroPies hooked up to monitors here, and these were pretty popular because these had all kinds of retro games installed on them. And if you're into high-end CRT stuff and fighting games, you know exactly what these are. These were some really cool Sony PVRs running Capcom fighting game hardware and some really cool fighting sticks, and this was another really popular thing at the convention. And I was surprised to see this setup here. This is really cool. This is some high-end stuff right here. And then moving on down, we had some more CRT televisions. And these had, look, got a Nintendo 64 hooked up there, and then a couple of import Sega Saturns. And a top-loader Famicom there. Top-loading NES, I'm sorry. I think all in all, the retro gaming room ended up being more popular than the modern gaming room, which made me happy to see. Now, over here was a Smash Brothers tournament going on, and I believe they were live streaming this. I am terrible at Smash Brothers. It's embarrassing to watch me play, but it was really cool to watch the tournament. Let's see what else we can find. What is this over here? We've got a Nintendo M82 demo unit and a Nintendo Game Boy demo unit. 2 really cool demo units that I am completely jealous of. I would love to have either of these in my collection. Especially that Game Boy demo unit. That's really cool. I remember playing on one of those when I was a kid. And coming over this way we can see lots of little CRT televisions with Nintendo Wii's hooked up, because again, people were playing the GameCube version of Smash Brothers and practicing for the tournament. This, I think, may have been my favorite area of the Comic-Con. Here's some more really cool old-school CRT TVs. Now, believe it or not, we will be seeing some more video games later on in the video, but let's see what else there was to see at Comic-Con. This was a really cool area. People weren't the only thing cosplaying. There was tons of cars cosplaying as well. There was a whole section with cars done up to look like different cars and trucks from movies and video games and TV shows. I've never really watched Supernatural before, but I know enough to know that this is the car from it, and this car in particular was pretty cool. A lot of time and effort went into this one. Now, these next two cars might have been my favorites. This is one done up to look like Kit from Knight Rider, and it was done up really well. And then there you can also see Ecto 1 from the Ghostbusters. And both of these were just, like I said, done really well. I think these two were my favorite. I wish that those LEDs were running though on the front. That would have really been cool. It's hard to see through the window, but even the steering wheel is accurate. If you're familiar with Knight Rider, Kit's steering wheel was kind of a weird flying yoke looking thing, and this even had that in it. And then Ecto 1 from the Ghostbusters. Lots of time and effort went into this one too. It was really cool to see some interesting cars at Comic-Con. That was something I didn't expect to see, so I was pleasantly surprised by this area. And here we have some vehicles from Jurassic Park. We've got an SUV done up to look like one of the vehicles, and then two Jeeps. And I love the little sign too that they put in front of the Jeeps. These were cool. And here we've got a Shield SUV and an Umbrella Corp SUV. It's pretty cool to see both of these parked next to each other. Now let's take a look at the main vendor hall. And this was absolutely huge. There was tons of vendors here. I don't think I even had a chance to look at all of the booths. I could have made probably an hour and a half long video just filming the main vendor hall. It was crazy. I thought this was really cool. This was a cosplay repair station, and this seemed to be pretty busy throughout the weekend. They really had everything imaginable for sale here. There was t-shirts, posters, comic books obviously, tons of comic vendors, cosplay stuff, jewelry, anything at all related or even tangentially to comic books they had for sale here. It was really impressive, but kind of overwhelming at the same time. The main vendor hall was a good place to just come people watch too. There was tons of cosplayers at the convention, and the vendor hall was a great place to see a lot of them. Now this guy coming up here might have been my favorite.
Get over here!
On top of the main vendor hall, there was another exhibition hall that I think was just as big with tons of stuff in it, including this really cool Lego display. This was all done by a local builders club, and wow, do they know what they're doing. There's just some really cool stuff here, including these trains that were going around the city. Just tons of cool stuff to look at. The longer you looked at it, the more funny stuff you found to see. We even found a shark with a frickin' laser on its head. And like I promised, more video games. There was a free play arcade section set up in this exhibition hall as well. And there was a lot of great arcade games here. There were even a couple of pinball machines, and I didn't notice this till going back and watching the footage, but that's a Medieval Madness pinball machine, which I believe is a highly sought after machine. Here's another shot. Some really great arcade games here. I didn't find this until the last day of the convention, so I was surprised to find even more games. Anyways, I want to thank you for watching my video on Phoenix Comicon, and if you were there, let me know what you thought down in the comments below. And as always, thanks for watching. Thanks for checking out my video on the 2017 Phoenix Comicon. If you like what you saw, don't forget to hit those like and subscribe buttons, and also make sure to follow us at the social media links down below. And if you got a few minutes, why don't you check out one of these other videos? And as always, thanks for watching.